Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking. I want to talk to you about this game. It is called Zephyr Winds of Change. I do apologize, I don't have a game box to show you or anything, so I just have my rulebook that I had on my tablet that I used when I played the game. But anyway, regardless, Zephyr Winds of Change is a steampunk-themed co-op game where each person is going to take on the role of a captain of a steampunk ship that they will be able to upgrade with both cool little abilities and machines and things like that, but also get cool crew that are going to have like cool little abilities and like some awesome freaking cards, I might add, as far as how the crew works, and I'll talk more about that when I get into the actual meat of how to play the game. But also each of those crews is going to have like a faction, so like the crew is going to be different each time you play. They're going to have their own special ability, but they're also going to have their faction ability and things like that. It's not going to be the same any time, you know, any run through that you go through again. This is exactly what I love about co-op fantasy or like just sci-fi, like otherworld type of games. You know, it puts me in a fantastic world that is always changing, that is always different each time I play it, and like full of cool little story elements that like make my imagination work as I play, and I can picture the actions and the things that happen as I play, and most of all, it is both very strategic and deeply engrossing, but the mechanisms of the game don't get in the way of the story that it's trying to tell. So let me show you how to play Zephyr, and then we'll come back here and we'll talk more about why I've been having a lot of fun with this one. Alright, cool. Bye. Alright, you are looking at Zephyr, Winds of Change, and I've just kind of set up just one player. Now, you can play this game solo, and it's a lot of fun to play solo, but the more players you add, the more varied the adventures you're going to go on, and like then all the different ships that you have access to, they have their own little special kind of abilities and decks or whatever. So, I mean, I've gone ahead and set up like the greaser tub, if you will, but some of the other ships that you can also play, the four that I had, were the Rogue Spitfire, the Imperial Scimitar, and finally the Bandit Gondor. So, you know, like all of these ships have their own like little special abilities, and like they have their own style, if you will. So just keep that in mind as I'm showing you how to play this game. As always, this is a prototype that I was sent. Now, this is a fabulous looking prototype, which always makes me believe that when the game is published, the game is going to look fabulous as well. But so I always dig when I get these cool looking prototypes with cool little bits and what have you that I'm going to show you here. So the big thing about the game is this is a steampunk adventure. You have a steampunk airship, and you have a mission that you've been sent on, you and everybody else that's playing, and you need to survive a certain number of days of that mission to get to the end of the mission to have the big final situation. In this case, it's a final battle that we're going to be having with a commander. Now, I'm not going to show you each and every step. This walkthrough is just basically kind of give you an overview of how the game looks and how it feels as you play. So I've gone ahead and there's these three little missions here. I've just gone ahead and taken plain and simple. Now, the cool thing about the game is they actually suggest, if you want, you can create like an epic overarching campaign. You could like go through this mission, and then you could do Guns for Hire, and then you could finish up with Belly of the Beast, and so you'd have this long overarching story. And this is kind of like one of these cool games that has that immersive storyline going on with it, and I'll get more into that when I talk about it, the game, in my conclusion, but just keep that in mind. And you can, if you want, just play a quick little one mission thing. I know that online they actually have a quick like one-shot mission that you just kind of really gets you into the game so you understand what's going on. But in this case, we have like plain and simple. So it just gives you some background. It says, news of bandits plaguing the city of Flotsam have traders scared witless. Meanwhile, the citizens are without supplies. You need to drive these bandits off. So it says 20 minutes per player, 1 to 4 people. And it tells you what your starting supplies. So each ship will start with 2 structural upgrades. That's kind of like your hit points. And for each player, and outfitted with 90 scrap. So you get 90, but that's the money. You get 90 scrap, and you don't have to spend it all, but you can use it to buy new components, which I've done. And I'll show that in just a second here. But so you can, get your ship going and get it outfitted a little bit. And so It says the mission events. This is what you have to do to win. It says complete assignments in the amount of 1 for each player. Assignments are little side missions. I'll show that to you in just a moment. If you draw and fight one enemy commander, instead of that commander's enemy ship draw 1 additional enemy ship for each player. Now that might not make a lot of sense, but if like basically certain events and certain things that you can run into as you're going through assignments, you could fight an enemy commander, but instead of an enemy commander, you just draw an enemy ship, because the end of result of this mission is that you're going to fight an enemy commander. So they don't want you fighting an enemy commander before you reach that point. So it just kind of has it in there. Now, one other thing quickly, you'll notice that there's like a tier 1 region, a tier 2 region, and a tier 3 region. That ramps up the difficulty of the adventure that you're going to be on. For starters, we're going to be in the beginning, and so this is 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4, so on and so forth. So each card that you draw, it kind of like will tell you as far as like the enemy ships that you're going to fight, they're going to have like how you outfit them depending upon whether you are in tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. Now you'll look and like Belly of the Beast, it's just all tier 3. You know, so it's just, you know, it's tough the whole way through. And then if you like, same thing, but here Guns for Hire, it has the same progression, if you will. But anyway, so regardless, I mean, that's just how you kind of start out, and that's what this tells you. And so you just kind of put a little marker right there on day 1 to show that you're on day 1, and then you're going to go ahead and begin what you're going to, like, your adventure and your process of seeing what's out there, you know, as you're going out and about in the world of Zephyr. Now, this is, I said, my ship. I've gone ahead and put my 2 hull upgrades, and what I did was I spent about a fair amount of scrap. I bought a weapon, I bought a tech, and I bought a unit of armor. Now, these things cost, like, if you've played, this is kind of neat, if you played like an MMO or something like that, there's increasing ranks of the color that represent how much these things are. And so you can see that, you know, these are bronze in color. Those cost 10 scrap. Things that are silver in color will cost you 20 scrap. And things that are gold in color, and you can see over here, these are the upgrades over here, will cost you 30 scrap. You might notice that there's this row of blue right there. Those are epic pieces that you would add to your ship. Those can't be purchased. They are just like they are like spoils of war, if you will. That's the only way you can get a hold of those. You might be wondering what this is. This is the special ability of the Greaser Tub. Greaser Tub allows you to immediately repair a recently damaged hull. So if I take damage once, like, you know, before I, you know, like once during my little assignment or whatever, I can go ahead and flip that over to show that I'm going to go ahead and use that ability. You might also notice that there's all these little like locations here that have these little symbols on them. Those are the different types of upgrades that you can put on there. I bought this like this weapon here, and you notice how it has this little weapon down there. So that can only go in one of these 3 spots. You'll notice then like there's this. It has this little like little flying flag or whatever, or a little winged symbol there. Those go there, and then also then there's these like evasion ones. I didn't purchase one of those abilities yet, but you know, those have to go there. You'll also notice that these are representative down here as well. Now, what that location for is for when you hire a crew member. Right now you're just a captain and you're flying around, but you want crew because the more crew that you have, the more cards you can play when you are in combat. And as a captain, you can play one of all 3 types of cards. There's these 3 different types of cards, and they match up with the different types of systems. But you need to have crew on one of those things to allow you to play another card. And so what happens with a crew is that first of all, you have to choose a faction. And crew cost 20 scrap to hire. And you can, this is the beginning, you can hire, but when you do resupplies, you can always either buy more things for your ship, or you can sell things at half price as well. You can't sell or buy epic again. Or you can hire crew for 20 scrap. And so there are the different factions. There's a Greaser faction, there is an Imperial faction, a Bandit faction, and a Rogue faction. So just like the different types of the ships, or whatever. Remember the 4 different types of ships? Now, you can you can end up with other factions that work for you, but in this case, like, I'm just going to take a Greaser, and we're going to say that. So now we have our little faction, and you notice that all the factions have a little special ability on these, and on the back you can see when you flip it over, you restore it at the end of each day. But so it has to give you the ability, and this says restore 1 armor once per day. So that's a pretty good ability, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take that, and now we get to purchase our crew. Now the thing is, crew is completely random because of the fact that, like, I don't know, you throw a dart or something, you hire somebody, but regardless, you get these cool cards that have they're clear, right? And so what happens is you have to shuffle these up like so, and basically you draw one out of the middle and you see who you get. And so I got Original Sin, and choose instead of taking choose instead of taking a random part from a completed assignment once per day. So just a little special ability. And then what you do then is you've already picked the faction of this person, and so then you go ahead and you just put them on there like that. It's pretty cool, right? So then you can have any faction and it goes right on there like so. And so now you get to pick which spot they're going to work on. And I like the idea of putting them in this like maneuverability one, because that allows you like to evade damage, which is always really good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and put that there. So I apologize, I had to kind of, normally that would be further down, but I kind of ran out of room here as far as everything out here. So I've gone ahead and done that. Alright, so now I've got my one crew member, I've got my different things set up in my ship, and I'm ready to begin. Now I should mention that each one of these upgrades over here has a corresponding card that is in this deck. Now I've already added that to my action deck over here, but each one of these has a card that you just locate and you add it to your deck when you have that process. So just so you know, like, it isn't like you actually, to use the new ability that you get, you have to take the card that is in, from this deck to add it on there. Alright, so let's go ahead and begin our first day of our trip. So we got into there. So now what we're going to do is we are going to first show what location we're currently in. And so we're going to take one of these cards, and this will change for the different regions. So we're going to see what region we're in, and this will give us kind of a situation of what's going on. So this is the city of Flotsam, and so there's a little flavor text there, but it just says each player's first purchase each day is reduced by 5 scrap. So that's cool. Like, now if we ever go back and decide to like, we can get things cheaper in the city of Flotsam. Now, other cards, like some things are like, the Skatara hunting grounds. All enemy ships of the Legion faction get 1 additional crew member. So like there's things like that like, like make things more difficult and what have you too. So it isn't always good things, if you will. You probably already guessed that. So we're going to go ahead and put that there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to draw our assignment from the assignment deck that's right there. So let's go ahead and draw the assignment. We'll go ahead and peel that up. And so we're going to see here that we have fuel delivery is our assignment, and it says deliver fuel to an allied outpost. And you just kind of have to go through the whole like explanation here. Now, if we were playing with more people, if we were playing solo, we'd have the ability to bring allies with us if they wanted to come with. But we have here one direction, like we can go from here to here. We just take 1 day, 2 days, and then we would get our reward roll, and that is a random roll that you have at the end where basically you'll get scrap or a random item or things like that. And remember, I got this cool Original Sin here, and that allows me just to pick my reward if I succeed. And you notice that if I wanted to take an extra day, I can go to this location, and if I do that, I can gain 10 scrap upon completing that assignment. So I get an extra 10 scrap, like extra rewards, if I decide to go an extra spot in that location. So I have a kind of a decision to make. So what we do then is, now you have the choice. If you don't want to, you can just go, I'm not going to go on that assignment. I don't want to do that. And you're going to say you're going patrolling, which would just be like a one-shot little adventure that doesn't have like any really big rewards. You're just going to go through a one, like drawing either a scavenge card or a battle card, which I'll explain here in just a second. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and do this. Now, if other people were playing and somebody didn't like their assignment they drew, they could then say, oh, you know what, I'm going to come along with you. Do you mind if I come with you? And then they'd put their ship on the ally. Now, obviously, there's only space for 2 allies, but then they can come with, and that would make the job easier, obviously, because if we fight anything or whatever, we'd be able to take care of those things together. And then, like, the rewards, however, at the end, that you do have to, not everybody gets the reward. The person that drew it gets the reward, and they can like divvy up the extra scrap and things like that as they see fit. And then obviously this is a cooperative game, so you want everybody to kind of grow and get better, because at the end you're going to have a big battle with like the commander, and like later on there's even like bigger like warlords and stuff like that. So you want everybody to have a good ship. But anyway, so we go ahead and put our ship in that location, and now we're going to go ahead and do our very first action. Now I'm not going to go walk through every single thing, but basically what happens is on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to decide, do I want to draw a battle card or do I want to draw a scavenge card? Now basically, it's kind of a random event either way. And just because you pick a battle card doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a battle, though you probably will. And just because you draw a scavenge card doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to fight either. So turning this over, it just says, Windfall. Your keen eyes spot the sea, claiming yet another victim in the distance. Putting on speed, you arrive to find this unclaimed wealth of salvage is only moments before it's taken to the depths. Gain 5 scrap. You may place any number of crew abilities on cooldown. If you do so, gain an additional 10 scrap for every 2 abilities exhausted in this manner. So I get 5 scrap, so that's just kind of a random thing. But if I had crew that I wanted to, take care of, then I would have, I'd have that option of like gaining more, but then I'd lose their abilities. I'd put their abilities would be on cooldown until I went back to like resupply. So maybe I wouldn't do that. But so that would be that. Now, just out of curiosity, let's just say I didn't do that, and we're going to do a battle, because I really want to show you how battles work, and then the rest of it kind of falls into place, because as I said, this is kind of like a progression game, and it's something that like you slowly gain abilities and gain power, and then you kind of tell a story as you're playing the game. But anyway, regardless, so here we have enemy patrol. It seems this warlord is particularly interested in defending this area. Before you know it, you find yourself face to face with an enemy patrol. All right, so it says draw one enemy ship. So these are the enemy ships, and so we're just going to go ahead and draw an enemy ship like so. We're going to see what we fight here. So we have the Festering Pile, Bandit Condor class. So the smell doesn't kill you, the guns will, because there's a lot of guns and smell. So you'll notice that each one of these has a little spot there telling you that since this is tier 1, we're going to put 1 hull, but if it was tier 2, we'd fill all that. And if it was tier 2, we'd have a crew member as well. For each crew member, they get an extra die when they do the attack. So here we have, so what we're going to do is go ahead and put the card, let's just put it here for it matter, because we don't really have to worry about going through the process. And we're going to go ahead and give it its, like, here we're going to put a little token there to show that it has 1 hull. And so now what happens is that I'm going to take my deck of cards, and all combat is simultaneous. So there's no real way to like, take out an enemy before they take you out. So if it's going to do damage to my ship, it's going to do damage to my ship. There's not much I can do about that. But hopefully I can like draw a card that'll allow me to do 1 damage to it, and then I'll be okay. So what I'm going to go ahead is like, I'm going to go ahead and draw my cards. And so it says right here, max hand size is 2 cards. Add an additional card for every 2 ship systems. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my 3 cards, because I have 2 ship systems. And so we're going to go ahead and see what we got here. And so we have a deflection, reduce incoming damage, receive this phase by 1 for each of your currently undamaged armor. Okay, that's pretty good, because we have an undamaged armor, and we have somebody in that spot. Repair 1 of your currently damaged hull upgrades, so that doesn't really help me. And System Maintenance, place this card in the battle deck card you haven't played. When that card is discarded, instead place it on top of your deck. Well, I mean, these are, good cards, but notice I didn't get any that do any damage, so I'm not really going to be able to do much. And this happens, it's just nothing you can do. But, so now what happens, since I can't play a card, I can't say I'm going to do damage to I'm going to go ahead and roll for the Festering Pile, and I'm going to hope that I roll like a 2, 5, or 6, because a 2, 5, or 6 means it isn't going to do damage to me. So let's see here. So I roll a 4. So it's going to do 1 damage to my ship. But because of that, remember, I can reduce incoming damage received this phase by 1 for each of my currently undamaged armor. So I can play that card, and then what happens is that obviously then that particular thing won't happen. I won't take that damage. Now, when I put this card over here on the side, and now I have the option of this is called like the regroup phase of the combat phase. Now, during the regroup phase, what I can do is, if I want to, I can go ahead and discard these cards, and so I can draw more and hopefully get a better card in my hand. Also, during the regroup phase, if there are any other players that are currently not in a battle or patrolling, they can come and join me after that first round of combat. Notice if somebody had decided to join me right away, they would be available for this combat right away. So, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the system maintenance card, but I'm going to hold on to the modular hull just in case, because this will allow me to repair a hull, and I like that ability. So I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 cards. Now, combat is to the death. You don't get to wait or anything like that. You have to keep fighting until one person wins or one person loses. And if there's multiple ships, multiple enemy ships, and multiple ships as far as the players go, they are able to stay in the fight as well. Alright, so that's more like it. These are the 2 cards I drew. I got a Rapid Repair, repair one of your currently damaged hull upgrades, and also deal 1 damage. So I'm going to go ahead and place both of those just in case I get hurt this thing. I'm going to do 1 damage to that ship, so I'm going to destroy it. And what I'm going to then do is I'm going to roll a die for him, and hopefully I don't roll a 2, because that would stink, because he'd evade. And I rolled a 6. So he does no damage. He doesn't doesn't attack me, and I've gone ahead and destroyed that ship. Now, because I destroyed it, I go ahead and get to roll some random scrap. Because he's a tier 1, I get to roll 1 die, and I'm going to gain scrap, equaling that amount. And I'm going to gain 3, so I'd go ahead and increase my scrap token over there to show that I gained 3 scrap, just from the wreckage of that ship. And I've gone ahead and completed that day. So we go ahead and get rid of that card. And then everybody else, if I was playing with other people, would have their turn. They do the exact same thing, go through their process of their exploration phase of that turn, and then after everybody's done, we would go ahead and go to the next day. And so then the next day, of course, I would be able to move there, or if I wanted to, I could move to this spot as well, but I'm probably going to go there, and then I would have another decision as far as what I wanted to fight. So technically I kind of did both of them, because I did one of those cards first, and I did that one, and then I would go ahead and make my rewards roll for completing my assignment. And technically speaking, since I have this special crew member, I'd be able to just pick my reward. So normally on a roll of 1 to 2, you gain a random silver ship system. Gain a 3 or 4, you gain 20 scrap. And a roll of 5, you get a random gold ship system. And on a 6, you gain 30 scrap. But in this situation, I'd be able to pick one of those. So maybe I'd pick 30 scrap, just because I'd be able to use that money for whatever I deem fit. I could use it for my choice of a gold upgrade. I could get another bronze upgrade and another crew member, or all kinds of things like that. Now, if I had been reduced, my hull and all my armor were gone during the regroup phase, I would be considered to be destroyed. And so, but I'm not like taken out of the game. I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't lose, if you will. But I would take what's called a critical damage. In which case, then I would have to roll to see what happened to my ship when that critical damage occurred. You roll 1d6, and on a 1 you lose a hull upgrade, which would just be one of these. On a 3 or 4 you lose an action card. You shuffle up all of your action cards. You take take the top card and you reveal it, and then you get rid of it. If it happened to be a part of one of your upgrades that you purchased, you'd have to discard the upgrade as well. And then the last thing is actually you have a crew member that is killed. And so then you would have to take the leftmost crew member and have them killed for that. And there are other ways that your crew members can be killed as well. There are certain events, like exploration events, like they can fall off the ship, or they can actually turn out to be traitors that leave you and then join somebody else, things like that. And so, I mean, that's one of the coolest things about this game, is that it isn't just a straightforward, turn the card over, see what you fight, and move forward. There are all kinds of cool little tidbits and cool little changes, and they've really gone the extra effort, especially to make these assignments actually kind of cool, like mercenaries. So, like, you have all these different directions you go. You notice that there's an enemy commander in this location. Here you have the headhunter. Deliver an employable personage by losing 1 crew member at the end of the last day. So you have to actually lose a crew member when you go. And then like here you notice on this A, if you want to go there, you draw a commander. Upon defeating the commander, gain a random crew, instead of the normal commander reward. So you might have a situation where you're going through this adventure and you, like, maybe you lost a crew member for whatever reason. You'd have to go to this direction so you could pick up a crew member and then actually then be able to complete the mission. So there's all kinds of cool stuff like that, cool little switches and changes that like actually make this game feel like an adventure game and not just kind of a straightforward like co-op battle game, if you will. And I really appreciate that about this, and I appreciate the immersion that the designer went through to make the game feel like that. Now, one last thing before I cut away is that when you do fight a commander, you have this deck right here. And the commander deck, what it is that you actually just draw one of these, and it has like it has the name of the person, and it tells you how many enemy ships that you draw for them. And then it actually shows their abilities. And so you're going to be using these in combat, and also you'll notice that the rewards you get are pretty cool. Like you can get those random epic items there in the bottom as well. And so in all of these, and there are a ton of these, and all of these have like these different like abilities and what have you that really also make the game, you know, seem like there's more to it, if you will, that has a grittier feel, if you will. And also I should mention one last thing. Yeah, I'm not going to go fully into this, but you do have these Warlord cards that that you have that like, and you'll notice that up here there's these little symbols, and it's like the different waves they have. And so you have these wave cards that like basically, you know, each wave adds one enemy ship per player. So it's just one of these things where it makes these enemy warlords like more and more difficult, because they have these waves of ships that you have to destroy before you can even think about attacking the warlord himself. And then they have these super powerful abilities that like they'll allow you, like, you know, the Corvus cannon, where it does like a ton of damage to everybody, and things like that that you have as well. That, you know, when you'll to make the game truly epic, if you're going to, like, you know, if you're going to challenge one of the big bads, and if you're actually able to defeat one of these guys, which we finally were able to do in a session that we had just a few days ago, actually, it really does feel like you've accomplished something. So there you go. I hope you have a good idea of how Zephyr Winds of Change is played. I mean, I didn't show you everything because, I mean, one, I want you to kind of experience it yourself, but two, that just would take too long to show you all the different cards and everything else that's in there. But it has everything that I like for a co-op game. It makes each person feel like they're doing their own thing, but also they can help each other out. And each person has like kind of signature abilities as far as the action deck, so it isn't just like everybody's just a homogenous blob, if you will. It has an immersive theme, and it tells me a story while I play. So, but let me talk more about that in my conclusion, which I'll do right now. Alright, so there you go. You should have a good idea of how to play Zephyr Winds of Change. If you have watched my videos before and watched some of them in the past, you'll know that co-op games are a favorite of mine and my gaming group. I mean, co-op games are what got me into this hobby. I mean, I've again, you know, branched out, and I enjoy competitive games as well. But I do enjoy a very good cooperative game. Now, the problem with a lot of cooperative games that I've played has been that the theme could be anything. And when I play a cooperative game, I don't want to, like, you know, work with people to, like, you know, reach the end of a spreadsheet, if you will. I want to work with my friends and, like, tell a story and feel a story and be immersed in a story along with them. And I want to feel like we are racing against time, or we're racing against an enemy, or we're just, you know, racing against the elements of the game that are trying to knock us down. Now, the big thing about this game is that, you know, it's like you have this kind of, like, almost open feel to it. Now, this isn't like a true sandbox, if you will, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that you can kind of play the game however you want. If you don't want to have battles, you don't have to have battles. Now, I mean, you might be forced into some of them. You know, you can probably, if you wanted to, you could pick these cards the entire time. They're just kind of like the scavenged ones. But just because you take scavenges doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to have problems. Like you have even like this card right here, and you can't read it, it's too far away. But, it's like, your plan was to enjoy an easy day of salvage on the new wrecks caused by the past night storms. You weren't the only captain with that idea. Draw a skirmish card. So you have to draw a card anyway and have to actually fight. So, I mean, it's like you have this ability, like, kind of like, steering the ship, if you will. No pun intended. But the game can act against your intentions very well, and I like that. I like because like that's the whole idea. Is like like that whole thing is like, well, I'm done having battles. I don't want to fight anymore. Let's just take an easy day, and I don't want to do that. And all of a sudden, bam, you draw that card, and great. The one thing I didn't want. Things like that, and it adds memorable moments and fun moments to the game. Now, mechanically, the game is great. I mean, it's just, it works exactly how it should. There's all the cool little things that I want to see. I want to see myself, putting these little upgrades into my ships. I want to see that get built up on my ship. I want to see it grow. I want to see it get more powerful. I like the idea of, like, the crew members and those cool see-through cards, which, has been done before, but, the fact of the matter is that you have, like, that see-through card, and you put it down there, and that's, like, your crew. Now, that's a person on your ship, and it's important. It's almost Firefly-esque, if you will, if you're a fan of that show. And so you kind of have this rogues gallery, if you will, of nutballs that are on your ship, and then you kind of have, I like how they went the kind of like the flying frog thing with actual pictures of people. And on there, so it's like it adds kind of a lifelike atmosphere to the game as well. I mean, it's just, I've played, I shouldn't say like played this game before, but mechanisms-wise, it feels a lot like other games I've played, other games that I've enjoyed. I mean, it is a process, it's a story, it's a mission, it's a destination game. It's like you're starting here and you're slowly moving your way towards the end, towards that end goal, towards that summation or the climax, if you will, of the story. And along the way, this is one of those games that, like, if winning or losing, it's a little bit easier, as far as co-op games go, which is fine. I don't mind that. I mean, I do like co-op games that kind of kick my butt, but I don't mind having this one because I feel like I'm not so much like, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm going to win. It's like, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like a really, really cool story that I'm experiencing as I'm going through the process. And yes, you're going to have pratfalls, and yes, you're going to have issues where your ship is going to get blown up out from underneath you. And when that happens, I apologize, I might not have explained that, but when that happens, if you do take too much critical damage, you do end up having to, like, basically go back to the base, and you have to give up on your assignment and things like that, and like give up on your scrap and your rewards to go back, resupply. And you actually, like other players, to help with the co-op thing, you do have the ability to trade things with each other. You can, like, trade scrap and things like that, and so you can help out somebody that's getting beaten down, so that you can bring them along, because ultimately, like, when you get to the end, you're gonna want as many people as possible for that big final fight, the big final climax of the game. And so then when you win, or you could possibly lose, but when you win, like, it feels like one of those, like, pirate adventure type of things. It's like this motley band of like steampunk captains who don't really know each other or like each other, reunite against the common enemy, to bring justice to the steampunk world that you happen to live in. And that's fun. I mean, it's just flat out fun. And it makes for a very, very enjoyable afternoon of dice rolls and clapping hands and high fives and cheering and cursing bad luck and things like that. Everything that I want out of my co-op experience, this does, and it does it very, very well. So there you go. If you have any questions about Zephyr Winds of Change, I'm happy to hear them, and I'd love to hear them. I try to answer those to the best of my ability. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm going to tell you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.